Hey, and welcome to Gadget Talk, the creative Gadget Cache Talk podcast where we talk about gadgets, we talk about creative caches, and we build them as well. My name's Derek, also known as Baker Six Clan, and I am joined, of course, with the ever famous, infamous Bounce Bounce, or what he likes to be called, Chad. How you doing, Chad?
Yes. Thanks, Derek. Thank you. Doing
So
good. I'm getting ready. I'm excited for this build tonight.
I am too. This is a lot of fun. There's going to be so many different things that we can do with this build. And if you're just joining us, the build tonight we are going to be doing is an acrylic insert to put into an ammo can. But before we get to that, Chad, we got to do the sponsors and talk about Patreon. So here we go. If you would like to become a patron, click on the Become a Patron link on the front page of the Geocache Talk website or head over to patreon.com/Geocache Talk for more details. Patrons get the now famous blackout coins and other geocaching items during the year. Support levels start as low as the Bison Tube level, which is only $3 a month.
Logwork, the creators of the fantastic logbook made with genuine Right in the Rain paper. The logbook's designed for the micro containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who'd rather go caching than doing cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com. That's LOGWERK.com.
And then also we have special is the Right in the Rain promo that we got going on right now for the rest of this month. And if you haven't used Right in the Rain, let me tell you, this is some of the best paper that you can use. We did a test on here a couple about a month, 2 months ago, where we had it in there for over a week and you can still write on it. So go ahead and check it out. And your promo code is Geocache. And use that Geocache, you'll get 30% off on your order. So go check them out. And now, Chad, now we can start having some fun.
All right. Sounds good. So, as everybody knows, if you've been watching the show or following us on our Instagram or Facebook, we're going to do the build of the ammo can insert, something that I built a few years ago, and I've had a lot of people asking about how to build it. So we figured we'd cover that. The nice thing about these ammo can inserts is it really ups the game you can do inside your ammo can. The different types of gadget elements you can make to it, make with it, and everything like that that I've done. So we'll go over that, and I'll show a couple puzzles you can do or a couple caches you can make with it. But again, you can do whatever you want to do or make it however you want. And if you end up making one, we'd love to see some photos of it. So send them. But we'll go over that at the end of the show.
Right. You can just tag us in it. You tag Chad.
Yes.
Bounce 8 on Instagram. You can send or just do Gadget Talk podcast on Instagram. We can see those there. So just tag us in those. We'd love to see them.
Yes. Okay, and then so we will start. So we put a list out on the web page on the parts you need for the acrylic. So you could cut them if you're going to do a build with us. The parts you need. So we need 4 pieces that are the large sides, top and bottom. And I don't have the exact measurements in front of me, but it's on the site. I can get them real quick.
But it also depends on the size of your ammo can too. So because you can have the skinnier ammo can, you can have the regular ammo can. It just really depends on which ammo can you're going to be putting it in. Now, Chad, this one's for the metal ammo cans, not the plastic ones, correct?
Correct, yes. So this is for the big, and you're right, 100%. It depends on your ammo can size. This is for the bigger ammo can. What is that of? The size of it, technically.
Is that the 50 cal?
Is it? Yeah, the 50 cal ammo can. So, and again, making it for the smaller one, which I think is the 5.56 one. You just have to make your panels a little bit smaller. That's about it. So, and you can make them taller or shorter. It's completely up to you. So the ones I have here are 5 5/8 tall, which I have actually wrote down here just for my records. 5 5/8 tall or 143 millimeters, and then 5 1/8 wide or 132 millimeters for anybody who is over in Europe listening. And again, this show will be a lot better, a lot easier to follow if you're watching it on YouTube or Facebook rather than listening to it on the podcast
Right, because yeah, this
channel.
would be one of those ones that you kind of got to see how it's being put together. Um, so yeah, we gotta so you can look at that. Evidently, they're having some problems hearing me, so I'm trying to
Yes, I
get
see
my
that.
audio. Just let me know if it sounds better now in the chat.
It turned up. I could hear you better.
Okay.
And so that was so this one here. You need 2 of these for the front and the back of the ammo can. Now you could do 3 of them if you want. If you want to do a divider in them, which I can show you what you can do with that if you want to do it or make one. And then you'll need 4 of the large ones. Now this is using 3/16 inch stock. All right, so your sizes are going to change if you use a different size stock.
Okay.
But this is using 3/16. So you need 4 pieces at 5 5/8 tall, which is the same as the other one for the height. And then this is 10 3/4 wide, or 275 millimeters wide. So you'll need 4 of these.
Okay. Excellent.
So a couple things. Let's go over on the cement or the acrylic that we use for the solvent. Is actually a solvent. On our parts list online, we put Derek, you gonna do a little bit more, it looks like.
Yep, I just
Or
turned
your
it up a
volume?
little bit more.
Okay, perfect.
Said-
There's several different types. I use the Weldon brand, or I think we need to go to the build cam here.
Build cam. All right.
Yeah, there we go. So we have the Weldon brand here, which is what we put in the list. Now this is very fast drying. In fact, we pull it up, but it's very fast drying. So it's about 1 minute of working time.
Okay.
2 minutes till it's fairly fixed, and then 24 hours for it to be 80% hard.
So basically, you have about a minute before you can't move your hands.
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Yes. Before you can move the material. I mean, you can still break it off and redo it if you need to. I say break it off. You could break the weld, but fairly easy, but it's better not to, right? You'll ruin it.
Right.
And then there's a Weldon 4, which is instead of very fast, it's just a fast setting. I don't know if you can see it. Now, this is a Tap Plastic brand that I use because it's the same stuff, just made by the place I buy it there. So anyways, this here gives you 3 to 4 minutes of work time on it. And then it's hard within 10, and then 24 hours is 80%.
Okay.
On it. So those are depending on how much work time you have with them. They're also water thin as well. So if you look at them, it will say on it that it's water thin. So it will actually run just like water.
Right.
On it.
So Tom has a question. Can you glue your fingers together with this stuff, or is it so? And if so, what do you do?
It's not super. It's a solvent, so it melts the plastic.
Okay.
Together. I'll put some on my fingers to try. I've never done it. It's not. It will say on them that it's not good to. It could be bad for your skin. It could cause skin irritation. So we would recommend using gloves. Now, I don't always use gloves when I'm working with the stuff, but read the instructions on there and the recommendations.
Okay.
And then there is
So it's not like super glue.
No, not at all. I use this all the time, and I don't recall any gluing any fingers together. I'd have to have plastic, I think, between them that would melt to glue them together. And then there's a Fast Set 16. Now, this here is a gel material. It's hard to see it focus. I think we have a picture of it up here. So this is what it looks like here. And so this is a thick gel type of material that you can use on it. Now, this actually is, from what all the professionals say, is a stronger bond. But it also, you have 5 to 6 minutes working time, 10 minutes fixed time, and then 24 hours at 80%. This takes a lot longer to set, right? So if you're trying to build something fairly fast, it'll take a while. Now, what I've done in the past is I've used the Fast Set on the build to get the box built, and then I'll take this and run it along all the seams. So it actually will set in there and fill in any gaps, and that will make it really tight.
Tom just said Chad gets one for the team, gets a point for the take and one for the team for to see if you can glue your fingers together.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I honestly, I don't think it would work, but we'll try it here when we get to it. So to put this stuff on now, when you're using the Well on 16, the stuff looks like gel, or the stuff that's gel thick. It actually has a tip on it, and you can actually buy other tips that are straight and skinny or turned to the side for applying it. With the other stuff that's water thin, I recommend using one of these applicators here. And what it is it pretty much is a needle with a flat front on it, flat tip. And then you use this to squeeze between the two pieces of material.
Right.
I've used needles as well. The syringes like this,
okay,
with the needle on it, but it's hard to kind of, I don't know, it takes a little bit more time than just to run this along it. So it's a little bit harder. And you can also get them with bent tips, so you can actually get into different areas.
Okay, excellent.
Now, when you're prepping your material, the best joint you can have, or the best side of it you can have, is you want it to be really flat, right? You don't want a whole bunch of
you don't want different levels on it,
right? You don't want a big table saw, sawn mark on it, right?
Right.
Blade marks. You want it to be fairly flat, because that will make the two pieces of material bond together easier, better, right? And get you watertight. But if you look at this, so this one here is done with a router. Here, you want it to be smooth, is what I'm saying, not flat. And then this one here is done with a table saw. Now, It's not bad. It would work, and I've used this many times. What you may want to do is take a small piece of sandpaper and just make sure it's smooth. And if you have anything real big on it from cutting it, I just take a
chisel.
There you go. Thanks. and I'll just knock the big chunks off and then hit it with the sandpaper.
Okay.
So, and then the worst thing you could do is actually have a finished or a polished edge. So this is polished. It's as clear as that is, right? Wow. It's smooth and polished. And you typically get that just by heating it up after you use a router on it. So if you have that, you want to make sure you rough it up so it will actually adhere to the other piece on it. So just to show the differences there. Make sure we have everything good. So.
Yeah, because with the polished edge, it's just like anytime you're using super glue or anything like that, you want to have a little bit of a rougher edge so it does adhere a little bit better, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I was reading Tom's comment when you were mentioning that.
Yeah, I saw that too. Okay, so here's, before you go on, Tom's asking if you have a table saw, what kind of blade? Seems like that would be the safer than a router.
I use a router quite a bit. It just depends if you have a table. So you can get a router with a fence system on it if you want, or you can get a router that if you have a fence, you can actually run it across there and it will just smooth out the end. But the higher tooth on your table saw, the better, right? The higher tooth number,
right,
the better it will be.
Okay.
So my router ends happen to be usually from the CNC machine, but I have cut them on the router table too.
Right. I have a router table and I've done a little bit of cutting some acrylic on there, but not as much as I am hoping to pretty soon. Once the acrylic prices go down.
Yes. Yeah.
Or once you can or if you can find acrylic.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, right now is probably a bad time to do this because acrylic prices are crazy because they're using them for all the shielding for this COVID-19 stuff. So,
right.
But if you ever come across a picture with a picture frame with a big thick piece of acrylic, or someone throwing something away, I would save it. I mean, even if they're small pieces like this, they'll add up,
right?
But that's just me. I'm kind of a hoarder too. So,
but you're a neat hoarder.
Yeah, if you can't tell from my shop, yeah, you haven't been out in my wood shop. Okay, so let's put the glue. So we're going to go ahead and start making this box. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is now, honestly, I just bought this Very Fast cement and I have not used it yet. So
All right, so hopefully it's
I
very
always use the
setting.
fast setting. So let's test it. But I did open it. So there's normally a metal cap on here, but they're
All
a
right,
pain
Tom.
to
We'll
get
see
off. And I
if
didn't want
his.
to do it
All
in the show.
right,
Yeah,
Tom. We'll see if Chad's fingers stick together.
No. See, it's already dry. So, but I'll probably die from some kind of poisoning now. Thanks, Tom. No. So what they usually do, or what people tell you to do, is to take this, squeeze it, stick it in the can here, and then
right, and just suck it up.
Suck it up, and that takes forever if it ever gets any. I mean, that's how much that. I don't know if you can see that. It barely got anything.
Yeah, barely. Yeah,
barely. So what I tend to do is, that's why I have the syringe here. I'll keep that top on. Is I use the syringe to pull it out.
Yeah, Gary's asked not to die.
Yeah, no. If I was going to die from that, it would have been. Well, I've been working with this stuff for a long time. Over time, I may.
I mean, I've said this before. You know what the number one cause of death is, right?
What's that?
Life.
Yeah. Geocaching. Making caches.
Making caches. Yep. Living.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if people have noticed, I have a piece of glass here that I work on, because I want it to be a fairly flat surface, and I want my material to be able to move. If this glue will get on this piece here of the plastic that I normally work on, it would end up messing it up or gluing the material to it. So I always use a piece of glass. So I have to apologize for the reflection ahead of time, but it's kind of the way it is.
Yep.
You can do it on wood or whatever you want, but I don't have a wood piece to stick up here. So we're going to start with the bottom piece. So I redesigned this for our build, so you actually have 4 pieces the same size and then the other 2. So when I've built them in the past, it's actually been several different sizes.
Okay.
So this should make it easy. So just grab one of the bottom pieces and then one of the side pieces. Now, the way I designed it, and you can do it either way you want, I designed it to sit on top. I don't know if you can see this. It'll sit on top of this piece here, right on the edge.
Okay.
Rather than on the side. Now, I've built these 2 different ways, because if you look in the bottom of an ammo can here, you'll see that it actually has a little indentation there.
Right.
So I have built them with a 1/4 inch to where the side actually sticks down 1/4 inch. And so what I would do in that case would to take, we'll say this is a piece of 1/4 inch. But I'd take it and stick it underneath.
Okay.
The piece I have, whatever the thickness is, and then put this next to it, and then I'd go ahead and glue this. But then that changes your dimension of your bottom piece of acrylic, right? Because I measured it to design it to sit on top and not on the bottom. So if you're going to do that, make sure you check your measurements beforehand. Otherwise, you'll glue this all together and you'll be in trouble.
Just like cutting, measure twice, glue once.
Yeah. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go ahead and do it right on top of the piece, just like I designed it. And that little area down there on the bottom of the ammo can, the way I glue these down is I use silicone, and so I just fill it up with silicone. I don't have any issues with them coming out. So
okay, because that's what I was going to ask. Once you get this built, how do you secure it inside the ammo can?
I use silicone. You may have your own preferred method. Some people may want a commercial double-sided tape, or, butyl tape or something like that. That's up to you. I don't know how butyl tape would end up going over time on acrylic, because butyl is a petroleum-based product, and so I don't know how it would react. But probably long enough, you'd probably be fine for the life of the cache. But anyways, I prefer the silicone.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is line these up here, and what I like to do is actually, this is going to be backwards for what I'm saying, but this is going to turn to the bottom. So this is flat, and I'm just going to put it right against here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go ahead and do it. Oh, actually, real quick beforehand. Now, I don't have a problem gluing them on there, right on this clear piece, right? But just to make sure you get a good mark, and it depends on how you want it to look. You can take a piece of sandpaper and just scuff
Just
the
that
edge real
edge.
quick. Yeah. Just all the way around. I mean, it just takes a second just to go around it. And this is just a fine, as this 220. And it's up to you. I don't typically do it, but I figured I probably should show it on the show.
Yeah, somebody will probably comment, and there's like, why didn't you scuff that up?
Yes. Okay, so actually, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to go and do it right on top of that, since I made this the bottom anyways. So I did all 4 sides. All I'm going to do is fill the side here. Now you have a little bit of working time with it. So make sure the 2 edges here, the outside edge,
right,
and the inside edge is fairly close. Then I'm just going to start from one end, work my way across here, and just barely squeeze that. And I don't know if you can see it fill in.
Yeah, I saw it going in.
You see that white part turn clear?
Yep.
And then I'm just going to make sure we're good there. And I might have put a little too much in, which happens.
And we're just going to hold it here for a minute.
So hold it here for a minute. Make sure we're even. Oops, I'm actually not right there. So push it. If you see, actually, I'll do this real quick while we're doing it. Do you see how that came apart and you see the stringing?
Right.
It melts the plastic together. So that's what it's doing.
Right. So now I had some other, some people I got a cheaper version of this stuff, and it took forever for it to melt. So I got to get some better ones like what you were showing us earlier.
Yeah. I'm impatient, so I like this. So since I pulled it apart, I'm just going to real quick hit that again. And then that is done. Now we're going to head to the other side. Now, actually, what I think I'm going to do, change my mind, is I'm going to do so I get my 90 there, right? And then it's going to give us a corner, so it'll make it stronger and sit up on its own. I'm going to go and do the front or the back, whichever one of the sides, I guess. Or is that a front and back? I guess that's a front and back.
Right. Front and back, sides, bottom, top.
Yeah. And I'm just using my fingers to fill it. It's not critical. I don't think anybody's ever going to see it. It's going to be glued down to an ammo can. So.
Yeah, the ammo can is going to go through more than just this.
Yeah.
So in the chat, let us know if anybody is doing this with us, or are you going to go back and do it afterwards? And what kind of experiences have you had if you've tried gluing acrylic together before? So just let us know in the chat.
I don't think this is as fast as it says it is.
It seems still setting up pretty fast, though.
Oh, yeah. I'm probably just being impatient because we're doing this in the podcast.
Oh, we could always break out the soldering iron if you want.
Yeah, no. I learned to make sure I test all my stuff before I do it live.
Yeah, I like how that's how that's setting up a lot faster and really good on this one.
Yeah. So now we're going to do the other side here. Now at this point, well, you can do it later too. You can decide if you want a separate compartment. So if you're doing an Arduino in here and you want a separate area for it, you could actually put an extra one here so the cachers can't get to it. So you'd have 2 here. So if we took this.
Or if you had like other parts that you needed for like a puzzle on top, you could have like a separate drawer there type thing too.
Right. And so I have one that actually is here and the door is on this side. And the keys are on this side. Just one of those key ones, right?
Okay.
And so it's actually all in one. And actually what I end up doing on that one, I think, is I actually just made a smaller box. But I can show that here at the end. So let's make sure I have the same one. Correct one. Remember if these were.
That looks like it.
Yeah, that one was a piece of scrap I had from the other size.
Okay.
And so I used it for the divider. I grabbed it to show the divider. So you know what I'm going to do? I'd rather start with the bottom.
So if you are listening to the audio version of this, we're putting in one of the other smaller front or the back side of the cache, and we're ducking from a train as we're coming across. But so yeah, we're just kind of getting that set up, and it's a smaller piece going on the back or front.
Yes. Now you can leave your fingerprints behind if you want. If you actually get the solvent on your finger and you push it against the plastic, it will actually melt your fingerprint into it.
Now that would be kind of interesting for a. You can make that into like a mystery or a puzzle, field puzzle with the fingerprints on there. Like you got to count the so many different fingerprints in this different direction, or if you can figure out if it's a thumbprint or a index finger or what that aspect of it could give you a kind of a interesting little puzzle.
Yes. Just remember, if you're building a bomb, don't use it because it'll leave your fingerprints. Not that we recommend that.
No, we're not doing that at all because, I mean, we have caches that blow up enough. So.
Yeah, I've seen some photos or some videos or pictures of some that have been.
Yep. Well, even talking to Tricassius, he was talking about how his was blown up in the last one when we talked to him last month, or at the beginning of the month when we talked to Tricassius when he was giving us that bomb story.
Okay, right. So now we have the three sides. So we're going to do
the last
one here.
Let me tell you, that looks really, really clean.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, you'll get used to how much solvent to use.
Okay.
On it. When I first started, I can show some of my other caches, and it still happens. If I put too much solvent, it will actually sit on the glass, right? The glass won't absorb it, and then it gets on the acrylic, and then it makes a big mess on there. So now for this one, because I'm not perfect, I don't know if you can see, there's a tiny 30 seconds of a lip maybe there.
Yeah.
So if I laid it on its side, it wouldn't weld right. So I'm going to go this way here. And then you can see here, you just got to pull that out a tiny bit to make it square. Actually, I'm going to go this way.
I'm just going to push it down.
This is and this is where I'm going to get solvent. If you look at it, I'm going to go this way. I'm going to put it over the edge of the glass. I have the glass right here.
Right.
I'm going to put it over the edge of the glass because I want to be able to push down on it and have the solvent go between the two pieces of acrylic, not through onto the glass. But, in theory, you're probably going to paint it or whatever. No one will probably ever see it. So.
All right. I think everybody's just completely mesmerized watching this come together. Not seeing too much going on in the chat room right now.
No.
I know
it's pretty simple.
It really is. I mean, it's once you get your cuts to the right size, and the biggest thing is what I'm saying is if you have the right solvent to make it sure that you glue this.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't,
to answer Dave's question there. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Derek.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, that's fine.
To answer Dave's question there, you can use blue tape to hold it if that's what you want to do. I did that when I first started gluing it, but once you start working with it and you do it the first time, you'll be so comfortable you won't need it. But again, whatever you want.
Tom's still waiting for fingers to get glued together. I don't think it's going to happen, Tom.
I tried it. I've stuck my fingers in the solvent.
It's not going to happen. It's not super glue.
Yeah, I mean, it's not super glue. It's already dry. So
but the thing is, if you have fingernail polish on when you're building this and you get it on your fingers, you probably won't have the fingernail polish left on there.
No, not at all. Okay, so there's our box. So fairly simple.
Yep.
So far. Now to make the top. Now this is where you have to make your decision on what you want to do on the top to make it. Pull my camera up here just a tiny bit. you can. So I've made them several ways, and each time I make it, I think I find a better way to make the top, and it depends on the puzzle you have.
Right.
So my first one I made. Move this out of the way, and you can see how I'm lifting it now by the edges and the sides.
Right.
You know, here, and it's
solid.
Yeah. So, this one here, I end up cutting a piece. So if I took that top piece, I'll measure, I think I did an inch piece here. Yeah. For my joint, for my hinge. And then I did an inch piece here on this side.
Okay.
For the lip of my cam lock.
Right.
To go on, which I looks like I locked this and I don't remember what the code is. So anyways, you can see the cam lock lip.
So you're gonna have to solve it now. Put the batteries in, figure it out.
Oh boy. So yeah, that's why I leave it open. I didn't like the look of it. First of all, these hinges aren't there. There's a little bit of play in them.
Right.
Right. But once it's in the can, you really can't tell. But I just didn't like the look of this extra hinge here. So I ended up changing that to where there's no lip on that side. So I like this. I think it's a lot cleaner. I really like clean looking items, projects. So I end up changing that. And so that's what I called out inside the build sheet for. So this is just a 1/2 inch piece at what was it, 5 and something, whatever the width is, right? The same width you would have here on the can. So what I did there is I then mounted this. If you look at your cam lock, and I messed up the first time on it. If you look at this is actually 2 pieces of it because I put it on top and then realized, oh, the cam lock's longer, so I need to go low.
Okay.
So this you weld in here for the cam lock to hit. So when it turns, it goes, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
So it actually locks and you can't lift it. I like that idea better. Now doing 2 pieces probably is not a bad idea anyways, because it gives you a stronger air lip for it to catch onto. But what I would do now is if I'm going to figure out where I want it to be, if you're not going to do 2 pieces, is figure out your cam lock, because you can put this in later.
Right.
You just make a mark on the outside, right? And then you know exactly right above that mark to put the lip. I don't know what piece you want to call that.
Right.
So anyways, that's how I did that. And then I left the hinge side the same.
Okay. I'm going to answer this question real quick. Lyndon Wong asks, what did we cut the plastic with? The acrylic is cut with either a table saw or you said a router is what you used, or a bandsaw. I've used bandsaws as well. Is something that has a high tooth count on to be able to cut it so that you can get the nice clean cuts. So that's what
yes.
You're probably just joining us, but that's what the acrylic was cut with.
Tom says try 123 or 007. Nice. Yeah, I know it's not that. I didn't make it that easy. Okay, so back to our box. So we need to decide what we want to do. Something I was just thinking about actually right before the show when I was messing with this is, what if you took the hinge, and this is kind of big, I'd have to cut it, and you put it actually on the inside of it,
right,
and then glued the top to it. Then you would have a completely flat top to actually have it go up and down. You just got to make sure that when it flips up, it would be able to have enough clearance. So it wouldn't be able to go all the way back. It'd have to be even, I think, with that, or a little bit short.
Right.
With it. But so you'd see a little bit, but I was thinking about doing it that way. So every time I build it, I always think of different ways to do it.
Well, each time we do a new cache, I think we should set a rule that each cache is supposed to be better than the last one. So even if it's just a 1% better, always look at improving how you're doing your caches.
Yeah. So I looked at that, and when I shoved that piece of that hinge in there, it kind of pulled that apart a little bit because it's Definitely
So,
not as strong as
Burnt
it should be.
Turtles asks, will hardware stores cut acrylic for you? Anyone know?
I
think
don't
they'll.
think so.
It depends on it. I think I asked one time at Lowe's, and I think they would cut it, but it's almost like if you get like a sheet of plywood, they'll do like one cut for free. So I think that may be the case. But there's a lot of different tools that you can get. I just got a new blade for my table saw, which was like 182 at Lowe's, and it was less than $15. So you can go and get one of those there. We just lost your build cam. So, but yeah, so you can go and get one of those pretty cheap there at Lowe's. So, but that
yes.
helps. And Tricasius says, yeah, that looks a lot cleaner. When I believe you're talking about the change when you did the different top on the top of the different lip.
Yes, yeah, and I like that. Except for you'll have to have a small. You'll see this edge here on this side. So maybe I would polish it so it doesn't look so bad. But that's just me. I'm sure a cacher that's finding this is not going to care about that.
Yeah.
But whatever you want to do. One thing that they'll sell at the store, so at Lowe's or Home Depot, what they tell me is they actually sell an acrylic cutter. So this is the acrylic cutter that they have. And it's a blade that scores it and then you snap it. I don't like it because every time I do that, I break the acrylic or get really, really rough edges.
Right. I've used one myself, and if you're using really thin acrylic, it might be a lot better versus this size.
Yeah, something like this, you're gonna have to score it like 20 times at least to get a good score to get it to snap.
You might as well
but you're not gonna have a really straight edge. That's the problem is you're not gonna get a straight edge no matter, even if you use a ruler. I've tried it. You don't get the straightest edge. So
no, because you're breaking it. You're not cutting it.
Right. Okay, so let's see where are we at here.
We're about to do the
hinges. Yeah, so you need to decide what kind of puzzle you want to do, or do you just want to make it a cache with a lock on it? Whatever you want to do. I use Arduinos on mine, which are what I like to do. Right, not a big deal. There's different types of hinges. So this is one that you buy. It's a 6-inch hinge. Here, there are acrylic hinges as well. So we're going to weld it on. And the reason why I do this is because there's no screws for anybody to be able to take apart to get into it. And it's a clean look, right? You don't have, if you look at this one, right, there's no screw holes or anything except for that chip in that corner.
Right.
But that's because I cut this to size on a chop saw, and I don't do that anymore. So, but it's a cleaner look. There's no screws for me to take apart. Once that gets glued together, it melts it together and it will break the hinge before it actually breaks the edges off. So,
wow.
Which at that point, if someone wants to get into the cache, it doesn't matter what it's built out of, they're going to get into it.
Yeah, they're going to get into it.
So this is a 6-inch hinge. You can get these in several different sizes. You can get one here that's 2 inches, right? And you get them in different colors. Okay. There's a black one, and then you can get them with a spring, right? So it will self-close if you want.
Oh, that's nice.
And then you can get them, in 12 inches and up as well. It just depends on what your build is going to be. You could make.
Yeah, I was just thinking that
you could make it open this way.
Right. I was just thinking that.
These are completely custom, so it's up to you and what you want to do with the cache. What I'm going to do.
Can you cut those hinges and they'd still work?
Yes.
Or how?
I was going to show that, and what I'll do is show you here. So on the top mounted ones, it's a little bit shorter than the.
Yep, there you go. I was about to say. I was like, I was trying to figure out which way you needed to slide it.
Yeah, thanks. So it's a little bit, narrower than the top, but you're not going to want to cut the hinge in the middle of a slot
Right.
over here, right? It's just going to fall apart anyway. So what I do is you have your hinge. I don't know what you call that, a hinge knuckle. I don't know what you call that.
Right.
What I do on there is I've cut them with a chop saw, and they just crack or break or
Okay.
fling off. What I've learned is just use a jab saw here, hand saw, whatever you want, and this will actually fit right down into. So you have this little gap here in your hinge. I don't know if you can see that. All right, this will fit right inside there, and then you can cut it. Which some of these saws are made to only go one way, but it's tight. But you can cut through it. And I actually had this one cut like 3/4 of the way through it, so I can show you. Anyways, just cut it. It'll come off. I don't know if I need to cut it on. I'm going to show here. Watch me cut stuff. But
well, as long as you don't cut your finger, we're good.
Yeah, no. Anyways, that's how I cut them to size. Is I just use one of the existing joints there and cut it to where I want. You can score it right with that other thing that I had there and snap it. It's up to you, right? That's not as critical that that's cut with a saw because you're not gluing the side, you're just gluing the top and bottom of it.
Okay.
So now the top, what am I going to make up here on this? Now that I think about it, I don't know if I cut a top piece for this piece here, but I'll just stick something on there. Let me grab a spare piece here.
All right. Yeah, Tom, I was kind of thinking the same thing. I guess I asked the question before Tom did about being able to make those hinges different sizes. So glad we were thinking the same thing there, Tom. So, but once again, if anybody in the chat, go ahead and type in the chat. What are you thinking of this? Are you getting ready to do maybe one of these acrylic boxes for an ammo can? And if so, what type of puzzle would you want to do with this box inside the puzzle inside the ammo can?
Yes. Okay.
Because we're always looking for ideas.
Yes, always. It's a lot harder than I think people think on trying to come up with builds that you can do live that take an hour. Yeah.
Well, the good thing is, Chad, we're at 43 minutes in now, so we just got about 15 more minutes to go.
Oh, okay. That's it. Okay. Let's see. And that won't work. I'll just do this. It's not the size I would want to do, but it doesn't matter. I can make another one of these.
Okay.
So it's not the exact size. And like I said before, I would normally take this, figure out how I want my puzzle to be here, and then I would do my measurements. So if I wanted 1 inch here, right? And then whatever on this side, if I didn't want anything or if I wanted something. And then that's the time also. So if you're going to do a puzzle, before you mount it, drill your holes, do your build on your lid before you mount it. It's going to be a pain to try and drill holes in something that's already mounted, especially in acrylic. So if you're using a drill and you're really putting a lot of pressure on it, on acrylic, you'll crack it if there's not really any support underneath it.
Right.
So
that's
on
what I
this
was
one
about
here,
to mention.
Yeah. So on this one, wish it would focus better. It's 49. It looks like 7 by 56.
Right.
Different LEDs. And so at this point, once I designed it, made my marks, figure out where I wanted the LED holes, I actually then marked it, drilled it before I glued it on. And then I figured out my hole for my batteries. And then on the bottom, I had to figure out how to make the LED wire so you can't see it. Now I built this for a demo for an event, so I wanted people to be able to see it, and I kind of made it big. But on here, I just went ahead and took the acrylic, just like what we did, but instead of using the 3/8, here I went with a different size acrylic, just so I could actually have a better gluing surface, and I could add screws to it.
Okay.
Oh, that's in millimeters. People don't like. I like millimeters. Let me go to fractions.
I agree, Hugh. It's he's saying it's great seeing different ideas on building this. Very helpful. Yeah,
It looks like 3/8.
3/8.
Yeah. So, and you can get, in this acrylic stuff, you can get all kinds of stock. But I went with 3/8 on the sides, and then actually on the top of this, I went with 1/8 on the top piece because it didn't need to be as thick. And then I just went and countersunk all the screws in there. I threaded because I didn't want to add anything to it. I actually used a tap and or a die. Anyways, I did a thread inside the acrylic, which if you go slow, it will actually put the threads in there and it will last for a while. If you're going in and out all the time, unscrewing them and screwing them back in, you'll strip out eventually. But
right.
This was just for a show. So anyways, that's you got to think about the puzzle you want to do, and the box, how you're going to mount it. So if you want to do a different, divider, you want to do the keys, anything like that. This one here, I went ahead and did a simple box for my Arduino, and I put tape on the back so it doesn't hit anything and short anything out. And that's just a simple Arduino with a code on it and 4 LEDs. So it's really simple to do. What I would do on this, though, is probably glue that box together.
Okay.
So someone couldn't take it apart.
Right.
But again, that's up to you. And then if you wanted to do like a key one, just to show you the different options before we glue the hinge. The one I did, and I mentioned, it's a smaller box, but it's a box.
Right.
The keys are in the front here, and then you have to find the lock or, find the key. And I actually didn't mount this, but you can see how it's indented here. And I actually had to put a slot on this side.
I'm not seeing. Oh, yeah, I see the slot. Yeah.
Right. For that little rib down here in the bottom.
Okay.
Of that. So, anyways, and then I did, I like to use the cable crimps here, the stops, on both sides, which I think you just did a video with them too. I don't know why there's piece of black tape in there, but
yeah, I just did
anyway,
a video key. It's called Keys to Patience. And I believe it might have just gotten published.
Yeah, and then on this, I just went and got a can of the green ammo colored paint, right, and just painted the acrylic. Just sand the acrylic if you're going to paint it, and the paint will stick fairly well. Okay.
So Tom had a suggestion. He said drop a couple coins or travel bug tags in the bottom, and then glue a piece of acrylic in the bottom to keep them there. Bonus for finders. So once you get it open, you'd see the travel bug inside there as they're rummaging through, trying to get to them.
You think they destroy the cache trying to get it out?
Not the good cachers. There's always those loose cannons that like destroying caches.
I did want to mention too, I use clear acrylic. But you don't on these ones, right? But I do have a lot of acrylic that's not. Like this is red. Okay. It has paper on it to protect it so it doesn't get ruined. So you don't scratch the acrylic. And I like this, especially when you're cutting it. I peel it off at the very end. But so it keeps it protected, the paper. If you're going to glue one side, you could actually just pull up a little bit on the side and glue it. So if the glue runs, it doesn't run up it. So you keep the nice look of the color.
Right.
But you can use different colors. And so if you didn't want to paint it, you just wanted a solid color. You do that. You can also, I was testing this one here, but this is, I don't know how to make that thing, but this is 22.5-inch cuts, right, to make a corner.
Right.
For a cache. So there's lots of different things you can do with the acrylic. And then some of the stuff I have uses.
Wow, that's thick.
Yeah, this is, I believe, 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 inch acrylic. And I have some 1 inch somewhere. I think it's out in my shop.
So
Don't
what
use it
would you
very
be
often.
using? What would you be using that for? What type of cache would you be doing that for?
Anything in Seattle, so it's bulletproof. No. Anyways, I like to, if I'm going to screw something into it, or if I want something that I want to have a really good hold with, right? Because the bigger the material you have, just like when you're gluing wood together, right? The more gluing
Right.
surface you have, the stronger it's going to be.
Right.
So depending on what it is, if you want to do a marble cache, you could actually on the CNC machine or a router in a cove track right inside this, and so you would just do that and put a thin piece of acrylic over the front, and then it would just be in there, and it couldn't come out. Right, it'd be easy. It's up to you. It just depends.
That's actually a
I
great
buy a lot.
idea.
Yeah, we need to make one. In fact, you could do it right on top of here somehow, right? And you have a marble cache somewhere. Maybe you actually maybe take the ammo can and you use that to move it around. I don't know. See, that's come up with good ideas on this show. But I buy a lot of my material at Tap Plastics, which is what we have here in Seattle, and some other cities may have it. I'm sure they do. They sell a lot of end cut material, so I can buy stuff that's 2 foot by 2 foot for really, really cheap. Right, I can get a big stack of it for $20. And that's what this is, right? If I see something, I'm like, oh, I might use that for something. This is the problem, right? If I see something like, oh, I might use that, I might want to buy that. Right. Especially if it's an end cut, I'm just going to get it just in case. And I'll usually find something for it. Right. But yeah, a lot of my plastic or acrylic is end cuts and cutoff pieces. So, I could buy 4 or 5 pieces and make this. You don't have to buy one big piece. But if you can find a place that carries acrylic and cuts it, and they actually will cut to size there for you, then that's a better place to buy the acrylic than a Home Depot or Lowe's.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay, on to the hinge. Sorry, I get distracted very easily.
Squirrel.
Yeah. So what I would do on this,
if you could adjust your camera just a little bit, it's kind of at the bottom.
I bump it. There we go. Is that better?
There we go. Yep, that's much better.
I move my glass, trying to use my glass as a reference. Okay, so I would glue this on here and then glue the top here, or you could take this and another piece and glue them off the top and then just glue this on when it's up here. It's up to you. As long as they're the same thickness, which is what you want anyway.
And you'd be gluing your hinge on there, correct? That's what you're talking about?
Right. So we're going to glue the hinge. And what I'll do is I'll do it off the cache. And that way, hopefully by this point, everyone would know if you do want to put your 1 inch piece on here. And that way I don't have to ruin the box. You would put it on this way, right? And then add your glue to it.
Right.
Right. And glue that on. And then if you have the top on it at the same time, it's completely up to you. I'm going to build it off of the box. Let me take this box and put it over here. Too much stuff here. Okay.
You say too much stuff. Some people say not enough stuff. It's all perspective.
I need a bigger. Yeah. I need a bigger workstation.
Don't we all?
Yeah.
I think everybody in the chat will be like, I need a bigger workstation, no matter what size workstation we have.
Yeah. So we will have all kinds of extra cutouts here. Cut off pieces. And use a couple of this scrap piece here. Make sure it's the same thickness, just to show how to do a hinge. So when you make the hinge, or when you put the hinge on, this one that's cut, okay. What I like to do, make sure it's even. Now, the nice thing about this, if you don't paint it, and it's probably hard to see on here, is you can actually see through it and line it up with the edge of the acrylic. Gary's right. Your workstation fills up really fast. So I'm just going to line this up, and you probably won't be able to see it too well on the build cam here. And then I'm going to do this in 2 stages because this is what I found has worked best for me. So I'm actually just going to lift the hinge up and put a little bit of the solvent on there. Then I'm going to press it down. And you can see, I don't know if you guys can see there.
I saw it kind of fill in.
You see it fill in, but you can see the bubble. So it's
right. There's some
fairly
bubbles
clear there. And then there's bubbles there where there's no solvent. And you can kind of see one line there.
Right
where the solvent was, because I didn't put too much on. So once that sets, I'm just going to go back through and with a real thin line, put in some more solvent, and you can see it fill up that area there. And so now it's clear, and you know you have solvent in there.
Right.
You can press down on it if you want. It's up to you. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit this side now. I don't think this side's as critical, but of course, the more you have, just don't get it in the hinges.
So Tricasius says, I need a work show and a geocaching shop.
Yes, me too.
And Gary was agreeing as well.
So this is on now. And the nice thing about acrylic is how fast it sets up. So building something does not take.
If you have the right type of solvent. If you don't have the right type of solvent, it's going to take forever.
So now we're just going to line up the next side. So I actually probably left a bigger gap than I needed to. I meant to actually line it up with the front of that. But when you do it, look at it. You can have it fairly close to it. I could actually run that back, I think, a little bit there. But we'll give that a try. I guess one thing about doing it on top of the ammo can is once you have them cut to size, you know it's square in the back, and then you have the front piece lined up and squared. And you could probably at that point, to what Dave's point was, is you could blue tape it, right? And then you know it's all square, and then do the hinge. So that would be a good thing to do. But so here, that's where we want to be. I'm going to just lift the hinge up just like I did before. Just run a real quick line on there.
Press it down.
Yeah.
And then come back through.
Yeah, I didn't let it set up long enough.
So once it sets up, then Chad will run another line of solvent down the front to fill in the gaps, the air bubbles. Yeah, I have some of these acrylic hinges that I got, maybe a year and a half ago. I just haven't had a chance to use them yet. Or I'm sure I'm going to be using them pretty soon, especially now after I've seen this completely gone through.
Yes. And, I wanted to show that. And I had a lot of people ask me about using acrylic and the inserts I build. And it really is easier than you think. And this is something I learned. I just had a bunch of acrylic I had, and I thought, boy, it'd be pretty cool to make an insert for an ammo can using acrylic, because you don't have wood that people could tear apart. You put together with screws or will rot, or, even cedar when it gets wet, right? It expands.
Right.
Or over time it will crack. It'd be nice to have one that actually can weather the elements in theory. So that's what I started making it. And, just that's how I started making them, and just figuring out, what I wanted to do, the sizes. So there we go. Now your hinge is on, your top is on, and you figure out the rest of your puzzle. Now you can do a couple different things on your cache. What we mentioned before is a cam lock, right? Which is what you've seen on my other builds there. And what you have to do here is do a double D knockout or just a cam lock hole. A couple different ways to do it is to get a bit that is big enough. Now, you don't want a bit that is the size of the cam lock, right? Because then it will just turn. If you notice on the cam lock, it has two flat sides. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, I can see it a little bit.
Right. Wrong way. There we go. Anyways, there's two flat sides. You just see from the top. My camera is not wanting to focus. Maybe because it's shiny. Anyways, there's two flat sides. You don't want to do the hole that's the size of the camlock threads, because then it'll just sit there and spin. So you want to find out the size of between your two flat spots. Is what I'm calling it. There might be an official name for those spots. And that's the size bit I would use. So 15 and a half millimeters.
Okay.
So in millimeters, it wouldn't be a 15-inch hole, right? You divide that in half, and that's your radius. But anyway, is that right? Yeah. So we do want to cut them on the CNC machine. So make sure I'm thinking that right. Anyways, I don't think anybody's can use millimeters. So anyway, you'd find this size here. You need, say it's a 1/2-inch bit, and you would draw on your piece of acrylic here. My Sharpie. Oh, you know what would probably work too? Maybe not. Anyways, that's the hole for your threaded area.
Right.
And you need 2 flat spots on it. So then you would know you might want to go a tiny bit bigger because that was inside. You would drill a hole here, and then hopefully using a drill press, do one here.
Right. So
And
Dave had a comment. He said,
yeah,
you could do a larger hole, then glue in some flats.
You could, absolutely, especially from underneath, you wouldn't see them. This is what I've done in the past, and then I've used, because it's acrylic, it will go pretty quick. A round file to actually make it how I want, and then I have a smaller flat file.
Okay.
Nowadays, I just use my CNC machine. Just makes things a little bit easier.
Right.
And I actually have somewhere back there, but I don't use it much anymore, an actual jig for a cam lock to actually be able to draw out the size you need.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you did that, absolutely. If you did a hole that size and it went through, on the bottom of it, you could just do 2 small pieces. They don't have to be very big either, of acrylic. Let me see if I can turn that. Like this. So then, well, it'd be underneath the top. So anyways, it would then keep it straight. And then this would just sit against that nut, would thread against the 2 sides. So yeah, that's a great idea.
Yep.
Probably better than what I was trying to explain.
Yeah, I think that's because now you said it was like a 1/2-inch bit. So you drew the bit and then put the cam lock in and then put those flats on. So I think that would probably be the best way, the easiest way too.
Yeah. And he says maybe a washer on the flat outside again, probably so you get a better grip on with the nut.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can even do smaller ones where you can do flats on the upper and lower too, next to the threads in here.
Right.
And then you have a solid area, so it's not floating between the 2 pieces of acrylic on there. So that is pretty much it. Now, the nice thing about acrylic, and I was thinking about this and I didn't try it, so I probably shouldn't bring it up on the show, is they sell hinges and handles. So if you had something that you wanted a latch on it or a handle on, a preform or something, try this here live, but you should be able to actually use this on here. So if you had some kind of special latch mechanism that it had to catch on, you could just glue it on there. Now, I'm saying that without pre-trying it, which I've learned in the past I should probably always test it first. Or if they had to reach down and grab something, you could do a hinge and have some hinge together.
Right.
Anything you want. You could take a bigger piece of acrylic and do stuff like that. And you can see it's stuck on there. So
that's already gotten me think. That's already got me thinking of some other stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, it gives you. It's there we go. It wasn't set all the way, but it was setting. So Try it again
So,
there.
well,
Don't
we can
mess
let
with the
that.
other side.
What we can do is let that sit up for this week, and we can try it next week when we're back on. Next week,
Yeah.
talking to Rumba Cats.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited for that build too. So doing using the acrylic for stuff, I mean, there's so many different options you can do. When you're building an ammo can, I showed you some of the ones that I've done there, and I like them because I like to do Arduino builds, and
Right.
it's easier to mount the Arduino stuff inside the ammo can. I know in our past builds we've used a lot of the plastic ammo cans because we were trying to make them we were trying to make it easier for the beginning builders. But
Right.
now that we're kind of stepping up to Arduino stuff, I'd hate to put Arduino stuff on the outside of an ammo can, a plastic one.
Right.
So the nice thing about these is you can, protect it better. Underneath, you can see I mounted that work box. What exactly it's called? But anyways, it's a little our electronics box that goes underneath, that mounts underneath, and you can get those in a waterproof one with a seal around it, ones that screw on. I mean, all kinds of different things you can do with those. So and then as you can see, you can mount a battery to the top. So people bring their own batteries, cam locks. I have one here that I actually use an RFID card on, so you don't even have to do a cam lock. And so this one here is an RFID reader in here, right? And you buy it like this. So this is a kit you buy, and I believe these are like $16. You might remember, Derek. I think they're like $16 on Amazon.
Yeah, I think that's what we were talking about last time. Yeah, with Tricacius.
Yes, and I think he's used these on several of his caches. I've seen them online quite a bit, and I've never bought one because creative builder, you do an Arduino, right? That's the way you do it. You don't cheat. But honestly, I don't think it's cheating. I think it's brilliant.
I think it's if anything, it's just thinking outside the ammo can.
Yeah. So this takes 4 AAA batteries, and unfortunately, right now the batteries are dead. And I was looking for AAAs, and I don't have any more, so I can't show. Well, I can show how it works. The cool thing about this is that the batteries die. They come with this cord here, right? So it's a USB. So if you had a USB powered system, and then you had your cord, this actually plugs in. If you did a little tiny hole down below your cache or on the lid or somewhere, this would plug in, and you hook it up to your computer or whatever, and it will open up the cache. Okay. So, or it gives it power, right? So then you're never, if the batteries die and you own the cache, you're not locked out, right, of it. You don't have to destroy it to get into it.
Well, that's good to know.
Cool to do. And in fact, now that I have this, I will hook one up. And so normally this had a battery in it.
We just lost the build cam again.
What?
You might have bumped it or something.
I show it in there. It says I'm backstage.
Yeah, it says device not connected on the build cam itself.
Oh, I wonder if when I plugged that in, if I did it. Anyways, that is crazy. Anyway, so I'll just show up here on the thing. It comes with
maybe.
Oh,
got it.
I hit stop cam, I guess, on accident. Okay, pull that back up there if you don't mind, real quick.
You might want to aim it first. It's pointing.
Oh, it's on my computer. Yeah, you know, I'll show it on this.
Okay.
This thing. I don't know why it switched cameras. Anyway, it comes with a bunch of RFID cards and the little keychain RFID readers, right? So you have a lot of different options with it. You have that little thing. If you make a hole, you can stick it out of it, and you won't ever be locked out of it. So it's kind of fun. You don't have to use a cam lock or anything to get into the cache. You can have a puzzle to get to the RFID. I actually have one that I'll show next week. That will be pretty cool. That I'm in the process of building. It's actually this one that I'll show on that show. So there's different variances of it, but not just RFID. So if you want to do one, if you see a lot of my caches that have keypads,
right,
they sell the unit here that has, obviously I'm taking it out of the box. So this is a locking mechanism, battery powered, and the keypad. So you can mount this right on top of the box of the ammo can lid and have this on the inside. So they'd have to solve a puzzle, enter a code, anything like that to get into the box. So these are really cool. We'll see about sticking them on our link of our page so you can look at them on Amazon.
Okay.
And that'd be great. I mean, if people look at them and buy them through the Amazon there, it actually kind of helps the podcast a little bit.
Yes.
As well. So
those are affiliate links that we have on there.
Yes. The amount of money that I spend on building caches gets to be crazy. So anyway, that's a really fun thing to do on you. Yeah. So that's another way to take this. And again, if you build one of these, please post a picture of it or send us an email and we'll post it to our site or tag us in it. The Gadget at the Gadget Talk Podcast at gmail.com. You can send it to, or on Instagram at the Gadget Talk Podcast. There you go. Derek has it. But other than that, and if you have some ideas for one, let me know. Maybe we'll pull it up and build it on one of the shows.
Oh yeah, because I mean, we're always looking for ideas constantly. Because I mean, when you're doing so many different builds, there's always great ideas to have out there, to have fresh ideas. Or if you have an idea and you're like, I don't know if this would work or not, send us an email. Let's talk about it and let's just kind of brainstorm on some stuff. We're always looking to do that as well. So tell us what we got coming up next week, Chad.
Okay. So next week we have Roomba Cats back. And this time he's actually going to do a build of a fake rock or stump. And he's going to show us how he makes those, because those are amazing. Those look,
they look
so
really
realistic
cool
to me. I mean, I don't know if I could do that. And so evidently it's a mold system that he makes, and then you can use it probably several times over and over. On making them. So that will be a really fun podcast. I'm really looking forward to it. And I think he's pretty excited to come on it and show that, and hopefully in the future show some of his other caches. If you haven't seen him, he's out of California. He builds amazing caches. We have a show that we did 2 months ago, I think it was.
It was last month. It was beginning of last month.
Was it? Okay. That we did, and we did that show, and he showed off some of his caches. And if you saw his Jumanji cache, that is just amazing. Oh my gosh,
that's just amazing.
He just makes amazing stuff. I mean, and that's kind of the point. We want to have people on that make amazing things. Cachesaurus was on here last month as well. Tricassius, I'm sorry. Tricassius was on here, and he, look at some of his stuff. Josh has done some videos on those. So yeah, looking forward to it. It'll be fun.
Yep.
And I don't have to build it.
Yeah, go out there and build it. And he uses those stumps to actually hide his gadgets. So that's something that's really type of camouflage that he uses. And I think he said his muggle rate is like extremely low. So,
well, I'm not surprised. It looked great. And then last month I posted to our Gadget Talk Instagram the winner of the Patig from Tricassius. Okay. He did a fake rock. So he did the build we did last month with the LEDs on there, the flashing LEDs. And so if you have a chance to go on there and take a look at what he did, it's amazing. He's out of New York. So if you're up there, go and find it.
All right. I'm going to kind of pull a Gary here for real quick. We got some plans coming up that we can't really talk about yet. But we going to get there may be a special Gadget Talk not on our normal night. So there may be something special because we have to worry about time zone. So we're working on that, getting into some other creative builders workshops to see what they have and seeing those workshops. So we're looking toward the future and seeing what we're going to do. So just be kind of on the lookout for that. Really excited about some of the upcoming shows that we got coming up for everybody.
Yes. Yeah. And that I'm excited for that show. That will be a special show, more than likely on a special day and a special time. Right. Because I think right now it's 3:00 in the morning, almost after 4:00 for him. So
yeah,
I don't think he'll be up.
So dropping a few little hints, but we'll see if anybody can figure it out. So of course, we're all cachers, and we'll see what happens. But well, Chad, any final words for tonight?
Yeah, no, please send us any pictures of anything you do, of these builds or any of our builds that you have ever made. Any ideas of a build you'd like to make, even if it has to do with one of these ammo cans. We might be able to create it in the ammo can and show you what we did and how we made it.
Yep.
And then follow us on Instagram, Facebook. If you like the show tonight, make sure you give it a thumbs up.
Yep. Give that a thumbs up. Hit subscribe.
Yes.
If it's the first time you're ever watching Geocache Talk Network. Now, there's some other stuff coming up this Sunday on Geocache Talk. I'm going to be co-hosting once again, and we're going to be talking about creative caches. And so those that know me, I love creative caches. I make them all the time. And so we're going to be talking about some different ones on there. So tune in this Sunday at 8 o'clock Central Time, and you can check out those caches on there with LGB Gary and myself. So
nice.
But all right. Well, thank you guys for joining us tonight or today or whenever you're watching this, and hope you've enjoyed it. Once again, like Chad said, smash that like button and leave us a comment down below. Really appreciate it, and cannot wait to see you on the next Gadget Talk. See ya.
All right. Good night.